And if you come tomorrow, it'll be first come, first serve. So I will essentially write your name on the board in the order in which you come. And if I'm with another student, I'll ask you just to sit quietly. You can come in here and talk, but to sit quietly. And I will conference with that student, and then when they are done, I'll conference with the next student. But I have 4 days, and I have about 25 minutes. So I can basically see about 5 students each day. And so if you come and I don't get to you, you come back the next morning. But I should be able to see all of you this week. Everybody should have an opportunity to score another 50 points. Yes. You have a study hall?
No, but I have
What time is that? 7:30. If you cannot come in the mornings, what do you have first period? Can I write you a note and ask her if you can just come just the first 5 minutes during that announcement period of time and just maybe come straight to it the moment you get to your phone, okay? All right, other questions? Okay. The reason why I want to go over this in class too is so that you will understand some of my markings that I made on the paper, okay? And I know it looks like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of red, and there is. But what remember, this is the first one we've written, and then we're going to slowly get better at it, okay? And so there'll be less and less red. That's the goal, okay? All right, yes. I was supposed to take them up on Friday, and I'll take them up at the end of class, and I'll give you your next go round. Okay, here's what I want to ask you guys to do, though. Please engage your brain in class. I feel like some of you are glazing over and falling asleep or just checking out mentally. And if you check out mentally, you're going to miss major things that I'm going to test you on. And I don't want that to happen to you, okay? So stay with me. All right, let's talk about major things that students do, writing errors that kill their grade, all right? So underneath your writing tab, in your 3-ring binder, I want you to title a note page, Writing Common Writing Errors. And I'll tell you what to write. Okay. And we're going to fix these things, all right? A lot of these are taken from your submissions, and I didn't put your name on it. There's no way anybody would connect it to you, but I wanted to give you real life examples. All right. So number one of the biggest things that I saw in your writing was that people did not address the prompt. That is going to be a problem with it being up there. Just a minute. Let me see what I can do. I really need. I won't see me right line. That's not cool. Okay. That's a little bit better. There's not right there. All right, well, that's a little bit better. Yeah, I think so too. I definitely think I need one. All right. Okay, so here's the first problem that I saw in people's writing. Some of you did not address the prompt. That means that you basically missed the assignment. So this was our assignment. The characters often change, grow, or decline as they respond to struggles and situations experienced over the course of the novel. Choose a character, one, in your novel and describe the things that he or she faced and encountered because of the setting and the plot of the novel. Be sure to include why you chose that particular character, what you gained from reading about the change that took place in the character. Some of you just told me a book report. Some of you did not answer this prompt. Some of you maybe chose multiple characters. Or some of you told me about the changes, but you never developed a thesis. Remember we talked about developing a thesis? Everybody Everybody remember that? A thesis is that central idea. It is usually the last sentence of the first paragraph. If you have written on your paper thesis, question mark, that means you did not develop a thesis, okay? So common writing errors, you did not pick, and so I'm going to write number 1, be sure to answer the prompt, okay? So here's what you need to do when you are writing. That was close. When you are writing, you need to go back and say, did I answer what Ms. Rogers asked me? For your autobiographical narrative, what is the prompt? What are you supposed to write about? What? A story about you, but it's got to be more than that. If you just write me a random story about you, you are not answering the prompt. Macy. An event that changed or grew you, okay? So if you just tell me about going to McDonald's on Friday night and you don't tell me anything about how that event changed you, you did not address the prompt, okay? Y'all, your college professors will not even grade a paper that doesn't address the prompt. They will go 0 and hand it back to you, okay? If you just gave me a book report, you did not answer the prompt. This go round, I still graded it and I still gave you a grade. But that is huge. The second thing that you need to do is be sure that you have a thesis. That is your central idea. This is number 2. Be sure you have a thesis statement. Somebody tell me what a thesis is. Let's go back to that. This has been a couple, 6 weeks since we really talked about it. What's a thesis? What's a thesis? Why aren't you writing down notes? That's an issue. You have got to write down notes. You're getting a 0 for class participation if you are not writing notes. Are you writing your notes? Okay, y'all, writing notes is not optional. That is part of your classroom grade. Give yourself a 0 if you are not writing notes. Yes?
It's the last sentence of your first paragraph.
Right. Okay, Ellie, you want to add to that? Right. So the thesis statement is usually the last sentence of the first paragraph. Okay, I'm going to write this underneath this. Last sentence of first paragraph. And it gives the central idea of the paper. And we even talked about this, and I gave you examples. So a great thesis would be Ada Price changed throughout the novel by experiencing hardships, living in another country, and having to escape from it. And then I would write my 3 body paragraphs about those 3 things. Or I could say Ada Price changed, grew, and became a better person. And I could talk about how she changed, how she grew, and evidence that she became a better person. Okay? Your central idea should be, if you're writing 3 paragraphs about it, it can be 3 prongs. You can tell me in that central idea those 3 things. Does everybody understand what a thesis statement is? Where is it located? In your essay. The last sentence of the first paragraph. Now, does it have to be there? No, as long as it's in your first paragraph, I'm okay with that. But that's a good place to put it. That gives you an easy way to wrap up that first paragraph, okay? And it should contain your central idea. Everybody understand? In order to get all of your points, you've got to answer the prompt, and you need a thesis statement. Your autobiographical narrative can also have a thesis statement, okay? All right, next thing. Any questions? All right, yes. Yes, you can't see with this here. Yep. I think this is flooding. Now, can you see it? All right. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Next error. Whoop. Okay, number 2, didn't proofread. Here is so number 3 on your notes, be sure to proofread. Y'all, I saw so many really easy common mistakes that people made. For example, I had somebody spell 15 F-I-F-T-H space T-E-E-N. Or I had somebody not even capitalize the name Mary. Or instead of through, somebody spelled T-R-O-U-G-H. I saw a lot of mixing up of there, and there. And like, here's another example. Somebody wrote a sentence that said, Thomas, that she has been through. Through, T-H-R-E-W, is like when you throw the ball. These errors tell me that many of you skip the editing and revising steps of the writing process. Y'all, some of the spelling and some of the spelling and capitalization errors I saw were like 2nd, 3rd grade level mistakes. Okay? So what that tells me is, I know you're smarter than that. So what that tells me is that you turned in a final draft to your teacher that had not been edited and revised. Y'all don't ever do that. You're always going to have 1 or 2 mistakes. Everybody is, but don't have like very obvious ones just simply because you didn't read through your essay. Please, please, please proofread. Go through that editing and revising phase. That will save you a ton of points. Okay? All right, number 3. Any questions? All right. Didn't use MLA format. For this very first essay, I was looking for just some really basic things. I was looking for the heading, I was looking for double space, and I was looking for indentions. That's all I was looking. And y'all, some of you, I had 25 points in there for MLA format. Some of you missed 20 points on your essay just because you didn't do those 3 things. So remember, for this autobiographical narrative, go ahead and do it. I'm looking for your heading in correct order. I'm looking for, these are the things I'm going to count off for this time. Double space. I'm looking for paragraphs indented. Those were the 3 things I was looking for the first time. Now I'm going to be looking for the right font and the right font size. What font am I looking for? Times New Roman, and what size? 12. Very good. I'm looking for 4 lines per page, 1 inch margin, and page numbers and last name in the top right-hand corner. Okay? So if you don't know if you want to write down these 7 things I'm going to be looking for in the autobiographical narrative so you get all your points, you may. So number 4 is going to be sure to use MLA format. And I'm going to be looking for 7 things this next paper. Okay? Everybody got it? So even though I was just looking for those first 3, a lot of people miss these first 3. Y'all, it matters how you turn in your papers. Okay? Be sure to use MLA format. Any questions? All right. Contractions. I did not take off points, but I will from now on. When you are writing a formal essay to turn in for an assignment, do not, or a formal letter to go anybody, do not use contractions. It's too casual of writing. So, for example, can't should be cannot, didn't should be did not. Don't use any contractions, okay? You also should write out numbers 1 through 10, okay? At 11, you can actually put just the number. But this is a formal writing style, and it is standard across the board. So don't use contractions. Write out numbers 1 through 10. That's number 5. Do not use contractions in formal writing. Let's save that for your journal. Spell out numbers 1 through 10. Okay? Write it down, Dallas. All right, crew. Okay. How many of you have WC somewhere on your paper? Look through your final draft and see if you have WC on your paper. Okay? WC means word choice, and it can mean one of a few things. Some of you incorrectly used words in your paper. So you basically took a word and you subscribed a meaning to it that did not make sense in the context that you put it in. Sometimes I gave you a WC because the way you wrote it was wordy and confusing and awkward, and I want you to take words out. So this is word choice happens during the revising phase, where you go back and you look and you think to yourself, does my writing make sense to the reader? Some of you, I did not read the books. I had not read the books that you were writing about, and I was completely and totally lost because maybe you didn't explain something to me, or maybe you were using a word that didn't make sense there. So be very careful when you are going back and revising. Make sure you say to yourself, would this make sense to somebody who is outside of my head? If they hadn't read the book, would they still be able to read this and understand what I'm talking about? So be careful. This is number 6. Be careful about word choice. Okay, so here are the questions you need to ask yourself. Does my writing and word choice make sense to my audience? Okay. I think I have another slide that gives you some examples of this. I know somebody was writing about the character growing and they used the word incline instead of decline. I think a couple of people actually did, but really you can talk about a character declining in their development, but you really cannot talk about them inclining. Inclining is not really the opposite of decline. It would be growth, would be the opposite of decline. So be careful. I had somebody use the word convening when I think they really meant convincing. So they said after some convening, but to convene means to gather together, to talk things out, okay? I think what they really meant was convincing. So just be careful about your word choice and make sure that it all makes sense in context. Any questions about that? Okay. Oh, here's an example. Brian has an incline throughout the plot. This was an example from somebody's. Here's another example. Somebody wrote, Lucky Atticus was outside. But in the context of the sentence, it wasn't that Atticus was outside. It was thank goodness Atticus was outside. So this should have been luckily. But they just wrote Lucky Atticus because they didn't go back and reread. So it needs to say like, luckily Atticus was outside. I think I gave it one more example. At the end of the book, Ron has not only concurred his fears. So concur means to agree. So I think what they meant to say was conquered, right? But in this context, this word concur does not make sense. Concur means to agree. So at the end of the book, Ron has not only agreed his fears. So that doesn't make sense. So make sure that when you're writing, make sure that your words make sense and you're not just throwing out words there that you don't know what they mean, okay? And here was the one I was talking about. After some convening, she allows them to meet behind Mandy's mom's back, okay? I think it was convincing, but the word convening was used. Just be really careful about your word choice, okay? Number 6, never ever start a sentence with this unless it is followed by a noun. Glance through your paper and see if any of you have the word this circled at the beginning of a sentence. And I'm going to give you a rule here. Okay? Do not start a sentence with the word this, unless it is followed by a noun. Let me tell you why. Anybody know what part of speech the word this is? Most often. Can be one or two parts of speech depending on how it's used. What? All right, let me give you an example. Let's see. Here is a pile of papers. Here is a pile of papers. Pick up this. What part of speech is it? No, what did you just say? No, part of speech. No. Listen. Pronoun. Austin said it. Pronoun. All right. Here is a pile of papers. Pick up this. Right? Everybody got it? It's a pronoun taking the place of what now? Oh, y'all, come on. I'm asking you to think on Monday. Papers. Very good. Thank you, Noah. Okay, so here's what's the problem with using this as a subject. Okay, this can technically be a subject. Okay, because it is a pronoun. However, in writing, when you use this in place of a noun as a subject, it is very vague and very confusing to your reading. So you can use this to start a sentence if it is followed by a noun. So these papers, or this desk, or this student, you can use it as an adjective to start a sentence, but you cannot use this by itself to start a sentence because it is vague and it is awkward and confusing to your reader. For example, if I said, here is a stack of papers, pick up this. If I put that in just writing to you, you would say, I'm not sure what she wants me to pick up. Maybe it's the papers? I don't know. Okay? What if there was a pen there too? What if there was candy wrappers? Okay? So here is what I'm going to say. Do not start a sentence with just this unless you follow it with a noun that you are describing. This stack of papers, right? So it would be this stack. Got it? All right. So I think almost 90% of students in their essay note began a sentence with this in every essay. It was a very common error. But look at it. Look at these examples. This is one of the main characters of the book. Okay? Does anybody know who the main character is? Okay. What if it said this boy is one of the main characters of the book? Then I would know it was the boy, right? So this is the book I read. What book did you read? I don't know. So while this is technically a subject pronoun, we did this with it as one is often vague in writing. So don't do it. So instead it should be this book is about a 13-year-old boy. If you use this to start a sentence, make sure you follow it with the noun that is the subject of the sentence. Any questions about this? See how I just used this? But you guys are here with me, and so you know what I'm talking about. Okay? Any questions? Everybody got it written down, number 7? You got it, Gretchen? All right, let's go. All right, number 7. I had this happen to me a lot. People wrote, I am writing about, okay? I'm going to write about this. I'm going to tell you about this. So I'm going to, don't announce in your work what you are going to tell me or what you're going to write about. Why? Anybody know why? Why should you not do that in writing? It might lose the reader's interest, but why else? Do I need you to tell me what you're writing about? Aren't I reading your writing? Yeah. It is redundant. You don't need to tell me what you're writing about because I'm reading your writing. I don't need you to tell me that. I'm going to read it. So it is redundant. You want to make use of every single word that you have. Do not announce that what you are writing about, okay? So this is number 8, even though it says it's number 7 up there. I don't know how my numbering got off. But number 8 is do not announce what you are writing about. Okay? We know. Okay? Here's another thing that happened a lot that I didn't make a slide about, but many of you began your conclusions with in conclusion. Okay? If you look at your conclusion, did you write in conclusion, comma? Do not write in conclusion. It's your last paragraph. I know it's in conclusion. Dallas, stand up. Get out of your desk and stand up. Okay? All right. Do not tell me in conclusion. The reason why is I know it's your conclusion. It's your final, it is your final sentence. It is your final paragraph. I know. And if I read and you wrote a good conclusion and you drew everything together, I know you're concluding it. I can see you're wrapping it all up. Don't tell me in conclusion, okay? Don't announce to me, I'm going to write about, I'm writing about, okay? You don't even need to tell me the book I read. All you need to say is, To Kill a Mockingbird is a book with numerous characters that go through a change. Scout, specifically, is a character that changes immensely from a young, immature child to, hey, stand, no walking, okay? You're distracting me. All right, so number 8 should be, do not announce what you are writing about and don't write in conclusion. Everybody got it? All right, so Dallas, go back to your desk and make sure you write that down. Okay. Woo! Next one. Fanboys conjunctions. Who can tell me what we use fanboys conjunctions for? Libby. Yes, so you join 2 sentences together, but you can't, you gotta have a fanboys conjunction plus what? You gotta have something else with them, right? You have a comma, then a fanboys conjunction, right? They also, fanboys conjunctions are also used to join like phrases and words together. It could be like Macy and Peter sat in the front row. Just use the fanboys conjunction. Here are the fanboys conjunctions, okay? Fanboys is an acronym for all these words. For, and, more, but, or, so, yet, and I gave you so again. It must be important. These are the words that you can use to join 2 sentences together. Do not start a sentence with them, okay? There are occasions when it is okay to start a sentence with a fanboys conjunction, and it is when you are a writer and you are doing it for stylistic reasons. Right now, you are a student, and in general, it is incorrect grammatically to begin a sentence with a fanboys conjunction. Yes?
Doesn't the Bible have verses that begin with fanboys conjunctions?
They did, it does, and I read one of them this morning in Genesis. It started with and. The Bible absolutely has sentences that begin with fanboys. And so here's what I would say to you, Austin. That's a stylistic thing. That's the only time it's acceptable is for style. But style is what you get to do when you are an author, okay? So when you're writing your book, you can do that if you want to stylistically. But as a student learning how to write formally, this is incorrect, okay? It is actually incorrect grammatically to start a sentence with a fanboy conjunction. Everybody understand? You cannot begin a sentence with one of these conjunctions. So that would be rule number 9, even though it's number 8 up there, okay? All right. So let's write a rule here. If you don't know what fanboys conjunctions are, you need to write it out in your notes. If you think you've got that down, then all you need to do is write the rule. Okay? So number 9 is going to be what? What should my rule be? Somebody word it for me. Very good. I like it. Never begin a sentence. All right, now let's go write it. With a fan boys conjunction. Okay? And if you don't know what fanboys are, if you think I'll forget that, then write them out. For and nor, but, or yet so. Okay?
Are those the only ones?
Those are the only fanboys conjunctions. Now, Kayla, we're going to talk in a few minutes about subordinating conjunctions, which are different, and you can start a sentence with them, but when you do, it's a dependent clause. It's got to be set off by a comma and followed by an independent clause, okay? So we're going to talk about those in just a minute, maybe the next one. Run-on sentences. How many of you on your paper, you don't have to raise your hand, just go look at your paper for just a minute. How many of you see R-O in your paper? You don't have to raise your hand, just go look, okay? I think there might have been 1 or 2 students in the whole 10th grade English that I teach that did not have a run-on sentence. This was a huge issue. And we're going to, starting tomorrow, we're going to talk a little bit about sentences so that you can perfect your sentence structure. But here's the deal. When you have a sentence, you need a subject and a verb. If you have 2 subjects and 2 verbs, you probably have 2 sentences. And there are ways you can correctly join 2 sentences together, but a lot of you just ignored all those rules and you just kept on writing, okay? So the most common way I saw run-on sentences where people took 2 sentences and just put them together, joined them with a fanboys but no comma. So everybody look here. His parents are divorced, so he was on the way to go see his father. Okay? So where are the 2 sentences? Well, the 2 sentences. So the first sentence would be what? His parents are divorced. Complete thought, subject parents are divorced, complete verb. Okay? What about the second sentence? Is he was on the way to go see his father. So what would the subject be of this second sentence? He, okay? And what would be the verb, how, in this second sentence? Huh? No, to go is infinitive, so it's not a conjugated verb. Remember, we got to have a subject and a conjugated verb. What's he doing? It's one of the helping linking verbs. No. Huh? Was. Here's your second verb. Was. It's that helping linking verb, okay? So, does everybody agree he was on the way to go see his father is a complete sentence? Does everybody agree? Okay, because what do you have to have a complete sentence? You have to have a subject and a conjugated verb, right? And so we have a subject, conjugated verb, subject, conjugated verb. So what could I do to make this sentence not a run-on? Anybody? Okay, well, what could I do to make this not a run-on sentence? Yes! So everybody recognize this as a fanboys conjunction? You can join 2 complete sentences together with a comma slash plus a fanboys. So all this person had to do not to have a run-on was put me a comma right there. What about the second one? He went to the movie and he bought some popcorn. Are these 2 sentences? What's the subject of the first sentence, Caleb? He went to the movie and he bought some popcorn. No. No. Okay, think about it. He went to the movie and he bought some popcorn. All right, let's back up. What would the first sentence in this be? Wait, listen to my question. What would be the first sentence? He went to the movie. Okay, so what would be the subject, Gretchen? He. The pronoun he. What would be the verb? Went. Very good. Okay, what would be the subject of the second sentence here? He, and then what would be the verb? Bought. Okay, so does everybody agree we have two sentences here? So what do I do to make this not a run-on? Comma where? Before the conjunction. Yeah, before the and. Okay, last one. I don't know why he likes meatloaf, but he asks his mom for it every week. Okay, all right, Dallas, look at this and tell me, do I have two sentences there? Two independent clauses. All right, look closely. Mm-hmm. The two complete sentences there? What do you think? You don't? Okay. What do you think? Kaylee, do you think I have two complete sentences? Everybody else should be engaged. Do you think I have two complete sentences? I do. Okay, tell me what the first sentence would be. Very good. All right, so I don't know why I like meatloaf. What would be the subject, Kyle, of this one? Huh? Nope. I. Remember, the subject is who's receiving the action, who's the star of the sentence. Okay. So what would be the verb, Kyle? No. It would actually be do know would be the complete verb. All right. What would be the second sentence here, Josh? No. He asks his mom for it every week. Okay? So what would be the subject action of the second part of the sentence? The second sentence. Whose action? Who's doing the action? Who's the sentence about? He. Very good. All right. And then what would be the conjugated verb in that one, Nolan? The second sentence. What's the action? Asks. Very good. Okay, so how can I make, if everybody agrees this is two sentences, Libby, what can I do to make it not a run-on sentence? A comma conjunction. So put a comma right there. Okay, so does everybody see, this is the main way I saw run-on sentences. There are other ways you can create run-on sentences, but a lot of times I saw two sentences mushed together with a found voice conjunction, but no comma. That's called a run-on sentence, okay? Woo. All right, so pause. Nobody move. Let me tell you. Okay, so we are going to end there. Somebody remind me. We're leaving off with number 9 in mind. So we'll continue to do this tomorrow. Tonight,